Hello, friends. A very good afternoon to all of you. For those who are watching this in the morning, good morning. And for those who are watching it in the evening, a very good evening to all of you. My name is Bruhad Butch, and I will be your facilitator for the Design Thinking Workshop. This is being done in association with Bringle Academy. And, like Ansha always says, happy Bringling. And, this has been a very interesting association with Bringle Academy because we came up with an idea of creating a course for you, which gives you not only a deep insight on design thinking, but it also gives you a practical approach as to how you can implement design thinking in your personal as well as a professional lives. I'm sure all of you know that Bringle had started a 21 days business sustainability challenge, and now it has converted to the 21 weeks business sustainability challenge. And in these 21 weeks, what Bringle is doing something very fantastic, wherein they are going to be launching courses, they're launching digital books, they're going to launch live masterclass and live problem solutioning classes for people who would like to enroll for these courses. One of the key aspects in today's world is design thinking, and it has suddenly become the buzzword. Whereas all of us who call ourselves the design thinking practitioners or designers have been doing this for the last 10 years, and we know how beautiful this methodology is because today I will be narrating a story to you which will help you to understand how design thinking can also be used in your personal life. Uh, Anybody who wants to enroll in this course, the link is in the description box, and of course you can visit that page, look at the course curriculum, and enroll for this course to go through a 21 weeks of amazing journey. Every week we will unveil one chapter, and that chapter comes to you as a live masterclass. Along with that, we have also created a digital book. So all those who are wondering what will get covered in the live masterclass, you can always go through that digital book, and that digital book will help you to understand some of the elements of design thinking and how you can implement that in your lives. So let me start with a quick story of how I have implemented design thinking in my life per se. All right. Now, when you look at me right now, I'm sure I don't look very fit, but I let me tell you that around 2 years back, I was triple my size, so literally three times my size. So my face, if it is like this right now, it was around this much, all right. And because of this particular piece, I had this urge of losing weight, and I said that let me try all the things that is possible. So I tried going for Zumba, I tried doing this dieting, this exercising, and all those things. But none of that worked because what I felt was these are solutions which some other person is giving. Sometimes it is not persist. Sometimes I am not persisting with it. Sometimes I'm not able to go through with it, and there are multiple things that are happening with me. So what do I really do? And that is the time I realized, why not try and apply design thinking to this and see whether I am able to lose some weight or not. And trust me, in the next 2 years I lost around 40 kgs, and that too by doing something which is not rigorous exercise, not rigorous yoga, no rigorous diet, nothing at all. So how did I manage to do this? I managed to do this by simply applying design thinking and by first understanding my own need. When I conducted an empathy interview with myself, all right, so we call it the empathy interview. When I conducted the empathy interview with myself, what I realized was that it was not about weight loss as much as it was about generating more energy within the body while I am conducting training sessions. Now, what used to happen, 2, 3 years back, is while conducting the session, I used to feel very drowsy and I used to feel very sleepy and very lazy. So what used to happen is that used to, translate to the participants. And the participants used to feel a little drab. And I used to gauge that because, we've been doing training for a long period of time. Now, somehow I used to take breaks and, finish that training session off in order to keep, the audience happy at that point in time. But after the session, I was absolutely exhausted. I was completely exhausted. And many of my friends told me, that it is because of your weight that is a problem. You need to reduce weight and this and that and all. I still went ahead by saying that, all right, let me just, understand and rephrase this problem statement. And what I realized is, instead of how might I lose weight, let me think of how might I generate more energy in the body in order to stay awake during the programs. And I started working on that. All right. So I, did certain small exercises, which you can do even sitting at your place. Reading, looking outside the window, curbing the phone use a little bit. There are multiple things that happen, but those are ideas. But what happened is my entire focus from gaining more energy. Now, this is where the entire scenario changed. This is where what I realized was I was actually focusing on the wrong problem statement. I should have actually gone by the energy piece long back, because what happened in 2 years was absolute magic. In the next two is that means these 2 years, I have been able to garner so much energy that I'm not falling asleep. During even the break times, I'm able to sustain myself during the day. Even after the program, I'm not really feeling that heavy in the head. And when I went and did my weighing piece, I was like, wow, 40 kgs less. It's nothing less than a miracle. But then when I actually thought about this, as to what have I done in the last 2 years, what has been that has made me sustain this change, sustain this habit, sustain this kind of a mindset, change the way I think about my own life. This is where my friend's design thinking helped me to reiterate the problem statement and look at the problem statement in a completely different way. As soon as the problem statement changed, the solution started changing automatically, because the ideas typically come for you from the problem statement that comes by. And typically the problem statement is done on either a process or a system or a service or something that is regularly used. All right. So what happens over here is we completely forget that there is someone who is very, very important in this entire aspect, and that is the user himself or user herself. Who is the user? And unless you understand what the user needs, irrespective of whatever you do, it's not going to help you. So whether you are a student, whether you are a professional, whether you have just started your jobs, whether you are midway through your job, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are a coach, a counselor, anybody, whoever you are, whether you're a housewife or even you are a teacher in the school, you will be able to apply design thinking in your lives. Now, when I'm saying apply design thinking in your lives, these 21 weeks will give you exactly step-by-step methods in order to make those changes in your life that you have been thinking for a long period of time. Design thinking will take data, it will take events, and it will convert it into stories and experience. So while data and facts say that probably following this diet or this routine will help you to lose 10 kgs or 12 kgs, but what design thinking says is every individual has a unique experience. Every individual has a unique story, and the solutions have to be customized to that story. You cannot have the same solution for everybody. And that is what we will also do in the 21 weeks. When you bring us a problem, we will help you, or rather, I will help you to solve those problems absolutely live in the masterclass. And honestly, it's a wonderful process, because I've been implementing this for 10 years. And the kind of passion and love that I have for this methodology just has no boundaries at all. So when you talk about stories, when you talk about experiences, when you talk about emotions, all it talks to you about is feelings. And when it's a feeling, it's more of a collaborative approach rather than a siloed approach. When we collaborate, we move forward. And in the 21 weeks that you enroll for, I will collaborate with you, you will collaborate with me. Bringle will ensure that they give us a platform wherein all of us can collaborate and take this to the next level. And you can see the magic of design thinking happen in 21 days, in 21 weeks. What will happen is in 21 days, you will be able to change habits. And that's also something that we will be telling you. Ansha always speaks about the power of 3. And even 2 plus 1 is actually 3. And it's a beautiful number that, you can use. In design thinking also, we use the power of three. How that power of three can help you is something that you will again know in the 21 weeks that we do with you. What makes this entire methodology beautiful is when you do all these things, it makes a complete revolutionary change in your life, because it's very, very inspiring. It's very, very visual. It is completely human centered and user centered, and it just helps you to broaden your horizon to an extent that you will be able to find the right path for you in the journey forward. Also, something that I wanted to add in this particular piece is that we will be helping you with something called as live blueprinting. And with the live blueprinting that comes to you, you will get tools, you will get methodologies, you will get frameworks which are globally accepted and customized to the Indian version to help you create your own journey map for 15 years straight. So when you design that map for 15 years, not only will you be looking at that vision, but over a period of 15 years, even if the ambiguous thing keeps going on, your business will sustain, your career journey will sustain, your plans will sustain. All you got to do is a little tweaking, and that doesn't take a lot of effort. So are you excited for this? I am very, 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 very excited for this particular launch. And why we wanted to bring this to you is that there are many webinars which are going around on design thinking. There are many free courses also that are available, and I don't deny that fact that there are free courses available. But trust me, what those free courses will do is they will give you information, which is again data, facts, and a siloed approach, because that is traditional thinking. What we are going to give you is a live experience. But in these 21 weeks, I am going to give you everything right on your plate, because for me and for Ansha and for the entire Bringle team, the only intention of these 21 weeks is to add value to your life, add positivity in your life, and ensure that you get the best takeaway from this particular course. A minimum of 15 to 20 times return is something that is a minimum that you get. I have seen people, if when they have used these tools very, very wisely, they have got up to 100, 200,000 times the benefit also. Because what happens with this course is it just makes you to think in a very, very different dimension. And when you think in a very different dimension, what happens is you end up doing things in the right way. This is where I generally share a story about your worth and your worth in time. How worthy is your time here? A father was on his deathbed, and he gave an antique watch to his son, and he said that this is your grandfather's watch. So why don't you go to the nearest watch store and get me a coat from there? He said, okay, fine, I'll go and get a coat. So he went there, he got a coat and said, Dad, he's going to be paying $250, not more than $250. Okay, so fine. Why don't you go to the town side and check it from there as to what will happen if we are supposed to give this to them. So he goes to the town side. He's sure that he's going to get this 250 rupee thing again. But he goes there and checks, and lo and behold, it is $250 for him there and then as well. So he comes back and he says that this is again $250 that this particular person is saying. So what do we do now? And this is where he says, the father says, why don't you go to the museum and check? And the son says, Father, are you crazy? Why should I go to the museum? The watch stores are not giving me this. What will a museum give me? And he says, just go there and check once, just for, just consider this my last wish. And, the son goes there and he comes back absolutely flabbergasted. He says, Dad, the museum is saying they are willing to pay me 1 crore for this because they feel this is antique. And the father says, so son, what have you learned here? So the son says, I think that, I am worthy of getting a lot, but probably I am at the wrong place. And when I am at the wrong place, I do not get the worth of, whatever I have invested in, which is the watch purchase. I'm like this watch, wherein people don't understand my worth and they're giving me just crap for, my value. What will happen to me is something that nobody's bothering about. But what the museum is doing is it understands my worth, it understands my time's worth, and it understands what I can do in order to get the best out of this entire piece. And I think I'm worthy of a lot more than just going and getting some peanuts for. And this is exactly what I want to tell you and leave you with as a thought. You are like this watch, and we are like the museum who's going to give you your worth whenever you are investing in the Bringle Academy courses that you are going to do, especially design thinking, because we value your time, we value your presence, and we value every moment you spend with us. So I will ensure that I go beyond my realm to actually go ahead and help you to implement this beautiful methodology in your life and bring about a sea of change that I have experienced, that at least 10,000 people have experienced in the last 6 to 7 years, and they are evangelizing this particular piece. And I'm sure this is really, really, really going to help you. So now the choice is absolutely yours. You are the watch. Where do you want to go? Do you want to lie at a watch store wherein they are going to give you peanuts for your worth and your time spent in that particular webinar learning series? Or do you want to come to this 21-week Bringle Academy's course and feel the worth of being in a museum and getting your true value and getting your true worth? With this particular thing, my dear friends, I will, leave you with this thought, because this is a very powerful thought that you need to think of. And investing your time, investing your money is absolutely your choice. But once you invest with us, our responsibility and our moral responsibility is to help you with as much as possible. And when we are going to give in so much, imagine, even if you take 25% of whatever happens in the 21 weeks, your life will change. I guarantee you that your life will change. And if you don't believe me, sign up for this 21-week challenge, and you will come to know that how impactful this course can be in your life. The link for subscribing to this course is in the description box below. And you can always reach out to the Bringle team for any queries, or of course you can reach out to me for any of the queries on this course, and I will be more than happy to help all of you. You can also post your comments in the comment section, your questions in the comment section, and I will be able to help you with a lot of information on what you will learn from this particular series, which is the 21-week Design Thinking Challenge series. With that, I'd like to thank all of you who have spent the time of watching us live, or anybody who's watching us in the archived mode. I thank you for investing your time, your precious time in listening to us. And if you believe that we can add value to your life, do subscribe to this course, and let's start your transformation journey right here, right now.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Happy Bringling. We are once again here on our Bringle Blended Learnings platform, bringleacademy.com. And thanks for being there, watching our daily live show on 21 Days Business Sustainability Challenge. We have started another series of 21 weeks of business adaptability. So with this beautiful pearls of wisdom, I would like to introduce our today's speaker and expert on design thinking, Mr. Burhad Buch. He has been, I'll just open his profile. So Burhad, you have a very, very, credible profile. So I'll have to literally refer it. So Burhad is a globally certified design thinking practitioner. He's a certified dermatoglyphics consultant from DMRC Singapore. He is an MBTI practitioner. He's an instructional design specialist. He's also a green belt in Lean Six Sigma. Very nice. Recognitions of program. He has got recognized as by Harvard Manage Mentor for the program called Recognition of Program Completion. He has delivered 300 plus behavioral and leadership workshops across levels of management with an average satisfaction index of 92%. Metric, very important. Helped organizations identify and drive profitable growth opportunities to improve their revenue. 10,000 plus transformations to his credit. facilitated sessions for people from across the globe, including Australia, UK, Japan, Gulf, USA, and Canada. He has served many industries, including retail, BFSI, IT services, IT consulting, medical equipments, medical devices, manufacturing, energy, infrastructure, beverages, etc. With some of his esteemed clientele as L&T Infotech, Adani Group, Fujitsu, BSC Limited, Aker Power, Liberty, General Insurance, CMS Computers, Worley Group, Smith& Nephew, Denon India, Tubex, Endurance International, and many more. He's been using the methodologies like customized live simulations, experiential learning, flip and drip approach, reflective learning, immersive technology learning, and theatrics and musical cafe. Few of the success stories in the last year: designed and delivered a culture change program for an oil gas major covering 1,000 plus employees with objective effectiveness metrics in place. Methodologies used were theatrics, simulations, and live problem solutioning tools. Trained more than 1,000 people in design thinking in the last year. Elected as a jury member for Women Innovator, a virtual incubator for women entrepreneurs. Rolled out 3 major flagships: Synergize to Win, Game Thinking, and Building Trust Relationships and Team Motivation. A theatrical experiential. Invited by CAFREL, an RBI initiative to conduct multiple sessions for leaders of various banks on the future of HR. Designed and delivered customized live simulations for topics like performance management system, BEI, value-based selling, and growth mindset to augment organizational growth. Brad, I must say it's a very vast experience and exposure which you have been working upon. And I think in current times, this is going to be more and more important and required when it comes to virtual learning, the live simulations, experiential learning, have a better human machine interfaces, and how we can enhance the learning curve for the, or I would say reduce the learning curve of an individual. With this, I would like to request you to kind of explain a little bit more about your experience in your own words, and what is design thinking all about?
Thank you, Anshul. Thank you for that, beautiful introduction. It's always good to hear about yourself from others, because as trainers, we are used to, doing our own stuff ourselves. So firstly, thank you so much. To all the people on the call, thank you so much for sparing time and, coming online. And to all the listeners who are listening live, I'd like to thank Bringle Academy for, inviting me to be a part of their Mentors Club. I've known Ansha for some time, and the way he talks, it just feel like you have to collaborate with him. The way he talks, it's so influential that you feel like collaborating with him every single time. So thank you so much, Ansha, for this opportunity. Like you said, the variety of work that I have been doing over the past 15 years now, which includes more than a decade of my corporate experience also, is all thanks to this beautiful methodology called design thinking. While there are many trainers in the market, while there are many facilitators in the market, while there are many certifying bodies across the world who claim to be experts in design thinking, nobody can actually be an expert in design thinking. And let me tell you that right away. Because design thinking is not a process. It is not a tool. It is not something, which is that I want to master this thing. Design thinking is more like a way of life. It is more of a mindset that keeps evolving with time. It helps you to visualize your future. It helps you to explore, reimagine, and reinvent your future in a way that during tough scenarios or during scenarios wherein things don't work out for you, the only thing you need to do is tweaking, and not just changing the entire thing of approaching that particular scenario, that particular situation, or that particular problem statement. Yesterday's emotional intelligence session spoke about a lot on empathy, spoke a lot on awareness, and that's actually the first step in design thinking. The entire basis of design thinking is focused on the human or the user in a designer's term. All right. So to give all of you a very simple definition of design thinking is basically a human-centered approach to innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit in order to ensure that it can give you solutions on the go in scenarios wherein you may feel that things are not working out for you, short term, mid term, long term. And here they also use technology and ensure that it is a long term sustainable model that you follow every single time you apply design thinking. Now, people have been going mad over this buzzword now, but let me tell you, this concept, goes way back to 1960. All right, so it's not something that has just come out. There are many innovators who have started this, utilizing this particular piece in 1960, and around in 1965 odd, this methodology was actually designed for engineers and designers. So it was an engineering organization. It was called Creative Engineering for Designers. And it's a beautiful book, so it was meant for designers. But over a period of time, when IDEO formed, and IDEO was formed by a merger of three innovation labs, what they realized is not only can you use it for designers, but you can use it in major organizations. You can use it in your professional life. You can use it in your personal life. You can use it for cooking. You can use it for your daily course. You can use it for anything that you want to. And this is how this methodology is so adaptable and so flexible. And this is what attracted, many facilitators like me to this particular methodology. I have been implementing design thinking for the last 10 years, and I'll give you a very small story to explain to you how design thinking can help you, open your minds up. And this story is basically, of a turtle and a fish, and they meet at, the banks of a river. And the fish asks the turtle, "How are you?" The turtle says, "I'm good, thank you very much. How about you?" The fish says, "I'm doing good, great." Turtle, I wanted to ask you, where do you live? The turtle says, "I live on land." The fish says, "Land? Is there a world like land?" The turtle says, "Yeah, of course, I'm living there, right?" So fish says, let me ask you a few questions, all right, if you don't mind. And the turtle says, "All right, okay, fine, ask." The fish says, "All right, is your land as fertile as it is below the riverbed?" The turtle says, "No, not exactly." All right. Can you swim on land? The turtle says, "No, you can't really swim on land." All right. So, is it as peaceful and calm as it is below the riverbed? The turtle says, I wish it would have been that way, but no, it is not. And the fish says, if that is the case, then land as a world does not exist. And it goes back into its own world. So that is like, the kind of base that I wanted to give for design thinking, because design thinking believes in stories. We don't believe in theory. We don't believe in PowerPoint slides. It's all about stories. And these stories are so beautiful that, these give you real life examples. And, people are now coming and saying, "Kash humne ye 2 saal pehle kar diya tha, we would have been sustaining today." And, your 21-week challenge or your 21-day challenge is, a live example of that. You have been thinking about this for such a long time. And, when you're doing it, people will realize the value of this 21 weeks, probably after 2 years, and they will come to you after 2 years and say, "Ansha, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. If you wouldn't have been there 2 years back, we wouldn't have been able to do this." So you are actually putting design thinking into practice right now. So that's a very small introduction that I wanted to give about design thinking.
I mean, I would say, Bruhad, it was such a passionate and straight from the heart introduction about design thinking, and I really liked a lot about the various aspects of design thinking, and actually could relate to it as well, especially your the blended model. So Bringle as a company, we always been focusing on blended models. We did that with learning 3 years ago. 2 years ago, we launched the platform bringleacademy.com, which was actually the world's first blended learning platform, especially in all the different domains, whether it is B2B, B2B2C, or B2C models. But the acceptance for us also pretty limited. While we had almost around 50 plus B2B clients and 300 plus mentors working and using our platform, but we have seen post-COVID, whatever, growth we have done it in last 15 or 18 months, we have actually grown 67% in just 1 month.
That's how.
So, so people have actually started realizing that the change has happening, and the problem here is that it is a forced change. When there is a forced change, there are a lot of repercussions which are supposed to happen, and which happens. There is, you do not have time to shift from the offline to a blended model. There is always a learning curve. There is always a time period. There is an infrastructure which you need to build upon. All those things is required, like you mentioned about, and I think in your profile you've been talking about experiential learning, the story based content. These are very much important on that. Now, today I was talking to one of the organization who has been now worried about youth being getting unemployed. How will they use this industry? How will they work out? So because of that, this is becoming so difficult for them to sustain. Now, how do you reach millions of them? You can probably set up a Zoom call, or a video conferencing call, or a Google Meet or anything, and have some connect to few people. But how will you reach to masses? These are volumes we are talking about. How will you train them? And you cannot train them by individual teachers. You have to have story based concept. You have to have out of the box thing. So I think, Bruhat, without taking much of the time, my question is originating from that. You have mentioned about design thinking, and what I understood is basically a little bit on a out of the box thing. So there are another buzzwords in the industry. So it starts from a simple mind mapping techniques to probably out of the box thinking to design thinking, and even a disruptive innovation or disruptive transformations, which we talk about. How are these linked, and where does design thinking plays an integral part in all these aspects?
That's a very interesting question that you ask, and everyone asks me this. Bro, I think this is more on out of the box thinking. We use certain tools, we do this, we do that, and the first thing I tell them is design thinking is not out of the box thinking. There is no box in design thinking. As designers, we call it the unboxed philosophy. What we say is there is no box. We just kick the box away and we start absolutely afresh and say, how is it that we can look at this as a beginner? Assuming a beginner's mindset is something that design thinking thrives on. All right. And that is why, when I was consulting with a couple of organizations and we were doing this design thinking module for them, I was conducting the interview. I helped them conduct the empathy interviews. We defined the problem statement. And when the ideation phase started coming in, I asked the participants to go out of the room. And they are like, why are you asking us to go out of the room? We've paid for this program. We are paying you, we are sponsoring you, you're throwing us out of the room. And I'm like, yeah, you need to go out of the room because, I need to show you something. And they went out of the room. I brought in a fresh set of 50 people. And I said, what do you understand from this problem definition? And what do you understand from this empathy statement? Out of 50 people, 45 to 46 people were able to exactly identify what the problem was. And this consultation happened approximately for a year. So they didn't even know, the outsiders didn't even know the exact problem kahan pe hai. The insiders, when the actual participants, when they came in, you know how many ideas they had in front of them in 20 minutes? Imagine a number. Just quickly imagine a number. 20 minutes में कितने ideas आ सकती हैं?
How many people were there?
46 people.
100?
There were more than 850 ideas on the table.
God. 850
in 20 minutes. And I was like, how do I know? We had numbered those ideas and 850 unique ideas had come out. When the participants came in, they were like, my goodness, what is this? And they are like, oh God, I mean, we are in so much, this thing. And we said, don't look at that data. Now go back to your place and start thinking about this, thinking that you are not as a part of this organization. You are not, a DGM, or you're not a senior VP, or you're not a AGM kind of a person. You are an absolute fresher and you're looking at this problem statement from a fresher's perspective, saying that if I were to attempt this problem or to solve this problem, what would I have done? And I have no experience at all. They could add on approximately 200 ideas about that. So we had 1050 unique ideas. for 5 problem statements, and they could implement around 100 ideas in the next 3 months, which actually tripled their revenue in 5 to 6 months of time. And I got a call from them saying that, Rose, we generally don't do this, but we wanted to tell this to you, and please don't ask us for a testimonial because we can't write it and give it to you. But we want to tell you this, that this is something that has happened with us. And I was like, fantastic. I mean, this is excellent. I don't want your written testimonial as long as it's adding value to you. So when you say about mind mapping as a tool, it's a very, very small part. When you talk about innovation, it's a very small part. When you talk about creative ideation, it's a very small part of the entire design thinking methodology. The biggest myth that people have is that it's just another tool for innovation and problem solving. And innovation can, we've done creative problem solving, we can do design thinking. And that's a biggest myth anybody can ever have. Innovation and problem solving only come at step number 3, and that to stage 1 of step 3. Now, it's such a big kind of methodology that what the participants realized at the end of the workshop, and trust me, the entire workshop lasted for 24 hours. It was a 3-day program, and in those 24 hours, I spoke for 1.5 hours. Ginke. I have not spoken for more than 1.5 hours because it was more from their side saying, okay, redo it, rethink, do it this way, do it that way. This is how the tool is supposed to be used. That is how the tool is supposed to be used. Bring in this aspect, bring in that aspect. And when they started doing that, they realized that, my goodness, we didn't realize that there were so many ways of looking at a problem statement, number 1. Number 2, what we thought was the problem was actually not the problem. The problem was something completely different. This is where I keep telling people that there is no box in design thinking. It is always an absolutely empty canvas, and you are an artist. You have to draw your painting in a way that the world knows that this is a world-class painting. The way you draw your painting, the kind of fame or the kind of influence that you can have on people will be determined by the kind of drawing that you do. Now, if you're going to do a quick fix, what you typically do is you'll take a stencil, you'll quickly draw it and say, okay, this is the one. And people will say, okay, yeah, fine, we've seen it. But, even if you go to art galleries or this thing, there are some paintings which we don't even understand. They're very abstract. And people pay millions of dollars for it. Because somebody has told them a story behind that abstract art, which they seem to connect emotionally with. And when they seem to connect emotionally with it, they feel that, oh my God, my entire life is in this abstract painting. Why don't I take that painting? And that answer is actually design thinking. If my stakeholders, my users, my customers can get that feeling that, my story is the story which is being told over here, you have applied design thinking. But to achieve that, it takes a long period of time. It won't happen that, today you've attended a design thinking workshop, tomorrow you go apply the tools, voila, you've got that painting done. It's not going to happen that way. Design thinking is a method. It's not a magic. It's not a miracle, but it can certainly help. So it complements collaboration, it complements communication, it complements teamwork. And design thinking also helps you to work more, in pairs and trios rather than do it only single-handedly. And which is where, we say collaboration over competition. That's exactly what design thinking is also, talking about. Collaborate with people and move forward, because design thinking and the best of ideas come in when you collaborate with each other.
Very impressive, Bruhad, and again, as passionate as in fact, it is getting more passionate as it going further. So really, thank you so much for the same, and I will really want to connect and probably set up another session with some of the organizations who are dealing with youth and the people who are going to face these jobless situations. And it would be really lovely for them to hear you about and what they can do in these difficult times. And I absolutely in sync with you. We have to ask the right question. And, it's very easy to get engrossed into the thought process, what will happen to me after this or because of this. But if we just change the question, what can we do to make it look better? And this is one thing which we did. Probably I was not aware about the design thinking methodology, even though we were connected for a very long time. But when we started 21 Days Business Sustainability Challenge, the one oath or a pledge which we took from within ourselves, as that we are not going to use the name COVID. We are not going to talk about the impacts of the COVID as an industry. We are going to keep it very neutral to all businesses at all times. If you are able to sustain your businesses, go with the basics, nothing can impact you.